Well, hello, yours truly, Euge here, starting with the usual well. I have gotten quite several questions about how I use the Overdrive and Distortion pedals and what amps I use live and in the studio and here at my home studio. So I guess I've done some previous videos, several or different, where I've gone through different things, but I just thought that I will do another one, and hopefully this will get you an answer to your very good questions. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna, guitar pedal gear geek. I love to discuss those matters and compare pedals and stuff. But anyway, so what I use at home is the basic basis is a Neunaber Iconoclast speaker emulator, which and that I use also live with Syra, because we play straight to DI, straight to mixing console, so we don't use any real amps. Jesper uses a Line 6 Helix for that purpose. But I'm a kind of old-fashioned guy. I like to use pedals because I like the way they feel, the way they sound, and it's easy to just change dial sounds in them because you don't have to go any digital presets or whatever. And I just feel more comfortable with the real stuff, if you will. So the Neunaber has kind of replaced my amplifier or power amplifier, speaker cabinet, speakers and microphone. So the signal, the bass signal is this now it's going in, there's nothing on. It's just the Neunaber, and at home it's going to my Behringer small mixer and to Genelec speakers, and live with Syra it would go to our monitor desk, which is located on the side of the stage, and there the signal will go to front of house desk and from there to PA, and from the monitor desk, which is standing on the side of the stage, the sound will go to our in-ears, because we have a guy there doing that, who is also our guitar and backline tech, because there's nothing actually that much to do mixing us, because we have done that on PA rehearsals and stuff. So I guess I haven't changed my settings, I don't know, maybe a few times, just maybe to add some keyboards or some click to some songs, but basically it's been the same for almost a year, my in-ear monitor listening. So it's basically my guitars is coming both ears, Jesper here and then drums. So it's basically like recording, listening to an album, except a little bit not tight played since it's live and we need to bang our heads. Okay, so this is the basis, pure clean sound. And before, when I used real amplifiers with shining, I used usually Marshall JCM 800, which is, I guess, well, at least my opinion, the amplifier. So JCM 800 or JCM 2000, or if those weren't available, then that's just something with a good clean sound. So I always set up just to clean, purely clean, and then I do my overdriven and distorted sounds with pedals. Before like 5 years ago, I was using the amps distortion, like JCM 800 cranked up and then overdrive in front of it, because back in those days I think that the amp-like pedals weren't as good. They didn't feel and they definitely didn't sound like an amplifier, but nowadays I think they do. They're really, really good and respond like you will play with a real tube amp. So it's easier that way, that I have all the sounds, all the distorted tones on my pedal board. And the amplifier or the Neunaber Iconoclast or whatever platform is only the base of my pedal board. And I have two pedal boards. I have one here at home, which I've been posting quite a lot lately because I've gotten some new pedals and stuff. I like to experiment. And then I have my Syra live board, which has a little bit less pedals. It only has pedals that I need for Syra. That's at the Syra headquarters in Sweden, because I don't live in Sweden. So I have 3 guitars there, and my pedal board, and another Iconoclast. And when we go on tours, we gather there and rehearse and stuff. So they're always there. But anyway, so the bass is clean sound, and if I want to have total clean sound, I usually use chorus, the neck pickup, and some delay. Compressor. I only use compressor. Some of you may have seen compressor on my board, but that's just if I want to do some chicken picking stuff to even out. And since these active EMGs, they're compressing itself already quite a lot. It's not. I think it, you know, muffles. I don't know what it does to the sound, but with single coil pickups and with Telecaster and Stratocaster, I think a small amount of compression works really well, because it's kind of boosts the sound. But with active pickups, because they have a preamp in itself, so I get the compressor. Then it's too much compressor, even if you set it rather slight, if you don't put that much. So this is the clean sound, and if I want to have something extra, now I switch to Paisley Overdrive, Wampler Paisley Overdrive. Just that edge of breakup sound, what you will get with like a tube amp driven, like some Fender style tube amp driven. You know, well, so that's the Wampler Paisley drive, but I don't use that with Syra, since I don't have this kind of sound. We don't really have a clean sound, and if I need a little bit lesser gain or almost cleanish, I just roll the volume off. Okay, that was a Paisley drive, and the chorus what I use now is good old Boss Chorus C5. I think Boss pedals they're just great. I mean, some people, I don't know why, mock them, because they're not boutique and they're not made by some dude in his basement or something. I mean, those pedals can be good and are good, but if you make it by yourself in your basement and you hand paint it, it doesn't make the sound pedal better necessarily. Boss pedals are like big production made stuff, but I mean the design is what matters, and the parts. And I think this Boss, for example, this Boss Chorus Ensemble, it's the best chorus there is, along with Boss CE1 and CE2. So yeah, I haven't found a better chorus. And the delay is Boss Digital Delay DD7. Again, I love Boss digital delays. For some reason, I don't know why, I don't really like analog delays. I prefer digital more. I think it's more crystal, more crisp, more accurate. DD7 and what I have on my Syra board is a DD3, but they're basically set up the same. The level and feedback are around 11 o'clock, the delay time around 2 o'clock, and the mode is the 800 milliseconds mode, which is on the DD3. I think they're basically the same, but this DD7 has a little bit has more modes. There's analog mode, reverse mode, and then it's a stereo input output, and then there's you know, you can hook up external pedal like tap tempo thing there, but I don't use tap tempos. This is the delay I have always. I mean, live, and in the studio, of course, it's usually done afterwards by a mixing engineer. So yeah, so that's the clean sound, and then I of course have sometimes flanger. Plus flanger, BF3, and on Cyberboard I have a BF2. Again, haven't found a better flanger. That's just my opinion. And then the MXR Phase, really good phaser. I haven't found better. Except the EVH phaser, which has the vintage mode, which I have on Cyberboard. So there's like two modes: the block and the script mode. This is the block, the base regular phaser. Yeah. Oh yeah, the guitar. That's my almost 10 years old Tokai that I had on my warehouse in Finland. I have a couple of other guitars and all kinds of stuff there. So I just recently was in Finland and I was like, oh yeah, god damn, I have this. This is actually really great. Really good quality made Tokai. The neck is shaped, mahogany neck, as you can see. I changed the tuners to Goto locking tuners, which I prefer. I think they are the best. And then the EMG 81 and 85 pickups. Recently I've also been using the 57 and 66, which are really good. They're a bit more like a vintage style. It has this nice little low mid, warm, and the highs are really like kind of like this, like sandy. I don't know, but these are 81 and 85. These are more like this, really focused, and the 57 and 66 are like a little bit wider sounding. At least to me. But I like both pickups a lot. They're my favorites. Okay, so and yeah, and then I will always clean. I use neck pickup. It's just warmer and nicer, and since the 85 isn't as high output as 81, it's you have this really nice with a little bit overdrive and delay. So yeah, and then how I do my distorted sounds. The way that I did with tube amplifiers, like you know, the JCM 800. I mean, because those of you who know it, the amplifier doesn't have that much gain, so in order to get the like really heavy crunch, you have to boost the amplifier with some boost pedal, 2 screamer type overdrive, any other type overdrive, or just a boost pedal, just that, you know, you hit the amp harder, so then it will go into this nice nasty JCM 800 style distortion. And if I have used 2000s Fryette SIG-X is good. I still have one Fryette SIG-X and I have 2 JCM 800s. The 2203s, 100 watt amps in Finland at the warehouse. So I always set up those amps, the Fryette even though it has a lot of gain on tap. I set it like 800, so it's like this kind of like rock crunch sound, and which cleans up also when you roll down the volume. But in order to get the heavier sound, you have to boost it with an overdrive. And I always have liked the tube screamer type overdrives. So the tube screamer type overdrive is, you know, the one with the 3 knobs, the level, which is, you know, you can adjust how hard it pushes the amp, and then the drive, it's the amount of the overdrive, and the tone, you know, it's how bright or dark it is. And what is the most important, you know, like the main thing which makes an overdrive a tube screamer type overdrive, or we could say probably Boss OD1 type of overdrive, because that was the first that type of pedal. It's that it boosts the mid-range. So it doesn't boost the lows and the highs, it boosts the mid-range. So if you drive it into an amp, it creates distortion in the, or overdrive to the mid-range of the frequency spectrum. So it leaves the highs and lows open. So the sound, it's really punchy, and that way, you know, it also, depending on the pedal, some cuts the low end a little bit more, some boost the middle range a little bit more, but in general, all those, you know, super overdrive, tube screamers, Ibanez Maxon, you name it, it's really, they're quite similar. Of course, there's differences how you set them up. I mean, by the actual manufacturer, you know, some might put a little bit, and then there's modification. Like I have a one modded super overdrive that doesn't cut the low end that much, and it's a little bit nastier. But I still, at the end of the day, I prefer the original unmodded super overdrive, because that's the, I think, the whole idea of the pedal and the tube screamer type overdrive, that you boost, that you know, your low end becomes a lot tighter and you boost the mid range. Anyway, so I have 2 distortion amp-like pedals on my board. One is the Friedman BE-OD, which I've used since it came out. I love the pedal. It's on my Syra board, live board too. So it sounds, I said it like this. This is a clean sound. This is the Friedman. So it's kind of this rock sound, and then I boost it with now I have the Bass SD1 there. So it you know, boosts that mid range and you know, tightens the low end. And as you probably can hear, hopefully, because I don't have, or I don't know how to use any of those nice recording techniques where you know, blend your picture and, you know, audio. I guess that would be really easy to master, but I'm not that interested. So I just film these with my iPhone and the iPhone mic. But I don't have that much gain, because I think too much gain will just muddy things up, and it just sounds a lot tighter and better to me, because I always try to set it like as low gain as you dare, and you're comfortable to play, then I use that. So, like for example, I said that the Friedman, like now it's 0. But it's just like you feel that. It opens up. And I've set the trim pot lower than it is when you buy it. It's in it at noon, so I've set it a little bit lower so it has lesser gain. So because with the original setup, even if you have the gain on like 0, it's still quite a lot of gain. So I've trimmed it a bit so it doesn't have now the gain is around 9 o'clock and the trim pot inside is around 9 or 10. And how I set the overdrive, now it's clean, now it's on. So let's put everything to 0. I raise the level so that it's almost a maximum. Now it's maximum, just a little bit. There, when it's you hear that the bump in the volume, so it's around 4 o'clock. And then the drive, I said like where you just get the sandy little overdrive. So it's 8 o'clock, so it's like this. And the tone is with that kind of depends on the guitar and stuff. But now it's I said that to you. Now it's 0. Now it's a bit too much. Here's the sweet spot, and it's around noon usually, a little bit over now. Maybe 1:45. So it opens up. That's how I said everything, like all the other controls. I try to find the sweet spot. So yeah, so that's the Friedman with the overdrive, which is now the Boss SD1. You really can't. It's because without it, those you hear a pick attacks. I mean, with this kind of sound, it doesn't have that much distortion as maybe one would thought. You really, you gotta know your shit. You have to know how you play, and that's also my lead sound. I don't have a separate lead sound, except that I just hit the delay. Yeah, so that's live. I use a Wampler DB booster just to raise up the volume so that the sound engineer doesn't have to do that. So but it doesn't add any gain, it just adds volume because it's placed after the distortion, which with the normal amp it will be in the effects loop. So after the preamp section, which in my case it's the Friedman, the distortion, the preamp, that's always on with Syra, and then the booster afterwards, so it boosts volume. If you put booster or overdrive before the distortion slash preamp slash gain stage, it will boost the gain stage, like so it won't boost volume but just the gain. And depending on the type of overdrive you use, if you use like full range overdrive, it will boost everything, the lows, mids and highs. If you use these tube screamer types overdrives, super overdrive for example, it will boost the mids and that tightens the low end, which I think is, especially in metal, it's really nice because it keeps things tight. And especially again with if you play with low tunings like we do in Syra. We do down to C standard, and the other tuning is B, and then drop the E string, which is drop A. This guitar now this is in regular E, standard E, because I've been playing some Metallica lately. Alright, the other distortion amp like or pedal I have is my latest purchase, the JHS Angry Charlie version 3, which is basically a Marshall 800 in a box, and I must say that it has really succeeded guys at JHS, because like I told, I have two JCM 800s, and I played them years when I lived in Finland. Like they've seen a lot, and I've recorded several albums with them. For example, two God's Plague albums. Mine was JCM 800 and Super Overdrive. Drive. What else? I don't even remember. I've done a lot of stuff with the 800 and Super Overdrive. And also Max and GT MXR GT-OD Overdrive, which I have on my Syra board, and what I used to have on this board too, but now it's Super Overdrive, because it's just fun to change things. I mean, they're quite similar, but there's small differences on them. The GT-OD is a bit more like Ibanez vintage tube screamer type, and then when you switch the circuit switch there inside, it becomes the Zakk Wylde 44 Overdrive, because the circuit board is really similar on the parts. So then it becomes a bit more aggressive, which is quite close to Super Overdrive, because that's what Zakk used to use before he went to Jim Dunlop and MXR and created his own pedal. Alright, then the 800, the Angry Charlie. This is there's definitely this middle what you have in 800 compared to Friedman. There's this middle honk, and here how I said this, like, you know, mids are now all the way down, so you can get real metallic sounds with this too, like with 800 too. But how I said it is, I find the sweet spot. Now it's too much. Again, where it just opens up. I do that with all knobs all the time, every time, no matter if I dial in an amp or a pedal. So it's around 11, and then the bass. There, well, it's noon. And the treble is 0 now. Now it's a bit too much. Now it opens just nicely. So it's around 3 o'clock. That's more treble than I would use dial in with 800, the actual amp. But this really, the controls work quite similar way and affect the tone like, you know, with the real Marshall 800. And then the drive again, it's 0, then where it just opens here. So that's noon. And volume I just set according to, you know, so that it's even with the clean sound. Now it's a little bit over noon. And where it opens, like here, so it's 1 o'clock. And then again, when you hit the overdrive, without the overdrive, with the overdrive. So the lead sound is again the same. I mean, if the sound is good, it works both for lead and for rhythm. Okay, so yeah, that's how I dial in the sounds and use them. So always I have used since day one. My first amplifier, real amplifier, was a Marshall JCM 800 2203 tube amp and a Bass Super Overdrive, which I still use because, you know, quite haven't found better. Or yeah, I mean, I always end up coming back to that. I mean, I've used a lot of great amps. Wagner, I had a Wagner Feast preamp, that was great. The Fried Sigex was really great. The middle channel, the rhythm channel was really, you know, 800 like. You could dial it. What else? 5150 I've used a lot. I mean, Syra albums we have used. I mean, we have recorded a DI signal, and then Jacob Hansen has reamped that when he has mixed the albums, or the first album. He's mixing the second album as we speak, as I speak. So and he likes to do it that way. He likes to record just the DI sound, you know, this really basic without anything. And then when he's mixing, he likes to try out different amps to find the perfect tone for the particular song and riff and stuff. So on the first album he used PV5153 and I believe Engel Fireball for the majority of the stuff, the distorted crunch stuff. Don't remember what cabinet he used. I wasn't there, and we're not there now because I mean we've done our part, and when Jacob has mixes ready, he will send them to us and then we can comment. But in general, I am not that interested how a sound is created, but the end result. I mean, of course, I'm interested afterwards. Like, you know, with Letters to Myself, I was like, wow, really good guitar sound, Jacob. What did you use? And then he told me. But in general, it doesn't really matter whether it's a real tube amp, a pedal like amp. I mean, I've used these pedals to record stuff like here at home when I recorded songs and parts to some other artists and bands that have asked me to participate on recordings. I recorded with the Friedman and those overdrives I mentioned, and if an engineer has particularly asked me to record DI sound, then I recorded a DI sound. So, and of course when you record a DI sound, you dial in some kind of sound which you listen, but you're not recording that, or maybe you can record that too, but you know. So, you know, we didn't play around like this. We had a 5150 there, but just that we could, you know, get the feeling. All right. Yeah. So where I was. So this is a pretty long video, but hopefully you'll find this interesting. So yeah. I mean, the end result is what matters. I mean, the last two Shining albums we recorded mostly with Kemper. My solo album I recorded with Universal Audio's Friedman BE and Dirty Shirley plugins. I mean, we had the original BE at the studio, but you know, when we recorded the parts, we were just like, yeah, let's just use this plugin. This sounds and feels really good, and let's see when we mix the album, will we need to reamp this with the actual amp. But then I got the first mixes. I wasn't there when it was mixed. I was like, wow, really good sound, exactly what I wanted. So did you reamp? I asked the mixing engineer that, did you reamp? He said, no, I used actually the sound that you used when you record it, because it's pretty damn good. I was like, yeah, it's pretty damn good, so no need to reamp anything. Let's use the plugin. So that's the solo album is played entirely with the Universal Audio's Friedman BE and Dirty Shirley amp plugins with the matching cabinets. So there you go. Yeah, I guess that was all for now. And if you have any questions and you need tips to dial in sounds or any kind of help, so please send me a Instagram, Facebook message. You can find me Instagram. The links are below the description and stuff. And I'm planning to start to give guitar lessons again in a very long time. You know, we are Skype or we are in person if we manage to be in the same city and country. So I'll probably be announcing that soon. But please have that in mind if you're interested in getting guitar lessons with me. Alright, that was all. Now, again, you know, live and let live, take it easy, respect each others, and see you soon. All the best. Bye.